Hello, everyone. Welcome to my show, My Two Cents. I'm Francine Crawford. As you know, I am the host of Autumn is Here podcast also, and I'm here this evening to talk about my last show on Autumn is Here. My last show on Autumn is Here was very interesting. It was a very interesting show about someone who made a documentary series about caregiving. And that's very interesting. So, on My Two Cents, I give you some information to bring out some of the points on my show. My show was on last Sunday. If you haven't seen it, it's okay. You can look at it later, but you can also give some information and some comments and stuff now. So I really appreciate that. If you do, or any questions, on My Two Cents. I just like to bring out the points of some of the stories in case people missed it, or just to put it in your attention. So let's just talk about it. We interviewed Peter Murphy Lewis, and he is a documentarian, and he took this on this project to do this project about caregivers and caregivers within different facilities. So it was very interesting because he wasn't a caregiver. I thought he was, but he actually took up courses, learned about it and stuff like that. And he actually thought that he should do like a small, he started off doing a small clip, a small idea of how we can do something that will promote caregiving and get people more interested in doing the job of caregiving in facilities. So it was going to be like a 20-minute thing or something like that. And he was going to interview people from different facilities and put it together and do that maybe for promotional, or maybe for something like he was in Nebraska, and something to encourage people to feel safe going to them, feel comfortable going to them, and get people more involved in actual caregiving. And it ended up being, I guess it was just so much information that he ended up doing a lot of different segments of it. So hold on for a second. I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm sorry. I did something wrong here. Okay. So yeah, he did a lot of different segments in it. So it ended up being a docu-series. So and it's so much, because it's so much in caregiving. It's so much to talk about. So good evening, Keisha. Glad to see you here. Glad to see you. Uh, oh, Oh, uh, thank you. Keisha says, I love your hair. Thank you. I appreciate that. I take the compliments even in the middle of the show. I will take the compliments. Thank you. Hi, Kaya. Thank you for coming on this evening. And like I said, if you saw the show, great. If you haven't, you can go back and look at it on Autumn is Here podcast. And you can leave your comments and stuff like that. But this was a very interesting show because he took, he got into it just doing a small piece and end up doing a documentary series. And um, I think he's on the third series. They're working on the fourth series now. So he did all these shows talking about caregiving and talking about caregiving within facilities. And it's very interesting because he's trying to encourage people about caregiving and making people feel more comfortable about that. And because sometimes that's people's only option to go into a facility. So he was showing how they were really dedicated to their job. They did a lot of activities for people. They thought about it. They had things where they had groups where they would do games and stuff like that, or give them awards, or put them on teams and things like that, and they keep them active. So it's really good. His documentary has so many different aspects of it. So it's very interesting. So he's still doing it. He's going to different places to do that. But it's very good to see the positive side of caregiving, because caregiving is a lot, and caregiving can wear you out. And it's very interesting and very good job for people, and a good job for people to get involved in and do, because you do it with your heart. Even if you're doing it in a facility, it's hard to be able to sometimes even deal with that, even if it's not a loved one or something like that, because they're going through hard times, and you have to be like the one to perk them up, to keep them positive, to help them out, to be calm and keep them, make sure they're comfortable and stuff like that. So in a facility, you still have to have those kind of characteristics to help them out. And it's really kind of honorable to people to, want to go into that kind of career. So his documentary is actually um, in Nebraska and in different places like that. But I believe he's going to try to use it to go all over. You can see it on many of the streaming channels like Hulu or Amazon and something like that. So you can definitely see that. So yeah, so if you want to see it, but it's really good. It's very interesting how he got into it. Actually doing things like media and stuff like that, and he actually got into it through that, and it actually changed, he said, the way he looks at things. So it's interesting how you can do something for a purpose and it changes you, and it changed him. He said it made him a better parent because it made him more patient. He saw how patient the people were, how patient people had to be with people who are older and things like that. And it made him a better parent for his child, to be, more patient with his child. So it's good to be able to, experience that, and it also, made him want to be closer to his um, parent. So that was good that he was not in a close, not closer emotionally, I mean closer in the vicinity. He made him want to be closer to his parents. So when his parents um, retired, he asked them could they move close to him where he lives, and they did. He said they live about 7 blocks away, and he sees them every day. So it made him look at life a little differently. And even if you're not going to be a caregiver, what's good, volunteer. Volunteer just to some of these places, because you can always use extra hands. So volunteer these places, and then you could still have that experience where you can understand how it is when people get older and the things that they need, the little things that we take for granted, they need help in. So even if you're not going into that field, if you have some extra time, volunteer for one of your local facilities that's around you or something like that, and help them out. And then you can understand how hard it is, but also how rewarding it can be, and bring children, like bring your, teenage children or something like that, because it's better the younger you are that get involved with older people, the more easy it is to be able to, if they're children, they may be your caregivers. So you might want to introduce them to this. So it's a good subject to talk about, and it's a good thing to do movies on, and the documentary on. It's called People Worth Caring About. So if you look it out, I think the first season is on YouTube, and then you can look at it on Hulu or Amazon or other streaming things like Roku, TVs that have streaming. So it's interesting to be able to see other people and how they are dealing with the subject of senior living and how they deal with senior adults in other areas, because every area is different. One of the things is that this may be something that he can bring to different states, not just to Nebraska. He can bring it to different states and different like politicians and stuff like that, and they may be able to improve some of the things that they do in different places. I don't want to say here like New York, but yeah, because we do need a lot of improvement. And sometimes maybe people just don't know what to do. So maybe this would be something that is something that people can learn from, and it's a rewarding career. So if anybody is interested in that, it's a very rewarding career to go into, to help people. You don't have to be a nurse. You don't have to know all of these different things. They will train you. You can be a CNA, and they'll train you on that. And you are the direct person. If you're the CNA, you're the direct person with them. You're working with them every day, whether it's feeding them or making sure they have their meds, or making sure they're washed up, or making sure they're being active, or checking in on them, being the one to talk to them. You know what I mean? That's all a part of it. It's all part of it, because some people are afraid, like especially when they get older, they're afraid to go into an institution. And what ends up happening is that they refuse to go. They want to stay at home or stay, by themselves, or they're independent. And then what ends up happening is that they fall. And when they fall, where they're going to go? They're going to go to an institution. They're going to go to a facility to rehab, and that's usually the turning point where they have to. But then they, if they were there, maybe they wouldn't be able to, they might have been more safer. If they are at home, make sure if you have loved ones, make sure you make it safe for them as much as possible. But if they have to go to one, you have to definitely shop around for one. But, it's definitely that option. That's something that you should think about. It's very interesting how people are inspired in so many different ways to go into senior care. I've talked to so many people and they have been inspired to go into senior care. What I like about his documentary is that it's a positive side of it. It's the positive side of it. It's we hear all the horror stories and the scary stories and the different things like that, and not to say that they're not true. Yeah, they are. People take advantage of vulnerable people all the time, but there are good stories too, and there are ways that you can help people in a positive way. So if you haven't already looked at it, Autumn is here. I don't have my little ticker tape thing on here, but Autumn is here podcast if you want to check it out. You can check it out. It's called People Worth Caring About, and it's a documentary filmmaker, Peter Murphy Lewis. And just check. And when you check it out, please comment and let me know. And, give me your comments and stuff like that. But also, he has an ask. He has an ask for the audience. He wants you to check it out. And even if you don't look at the whole series, look at one show and just give him comments of what you get from that show and share it. Just give them comments. People have ideas of what they think something is, and then he kind of lets you into one aspect of it. There are different shows and different things that are happening. So if you can do that, that would be good. He asked that the audience would, just look at one show. He has a series of documentaries, like he's working on the fourth series. So he just look at one of the shows and see, how you like it, and leave some comments so he'd know, how it affected you, or if you related to it, or if there were things you didn't know that you know now, or you feel more comfortable now, or something like that. So please, he would like to hear from you and hear what people are saying about his documentary. But it's interesting how people understand, like they learn about caregiving and they learn about it later and they end up doing something extra. Even if you become a caregiver or you go through the experience, because like he said, his grandparents, they were old and they went through the experience of having to be taken care of in the facility, and it was a nice facility and it was a good experience for them. So all of these different things kind of add up, so it's good that these things add up, and you never know where it takes you. And now he's actually making films about it, so it's really good how it inspires people. But also, one thing I want people to take away from this is that, you know it takes a village. We say it takes a village for children, but it takes a village to raise adults too. It takes a village, and it's more than one option. It's more than one person has to help. It takes a village. So please, if you see people around and they don't have other people around them, or a community, or people that are helping them, please try to give them some assistance and point them in the right direction or something like that. If you hear about any kind of programs or anything like that, because it does take a village. People think that people should know that they should do this, or that somebody, they go to church all the time, so their church must be helping them. Maybe their church is not doing that. So it takes a village. It takes a village to help out and raise older adults, and not only raise them, but just help them out. It takes a village, because it takes a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of information. When you get older, you don't have patience, and I'm not saying you don't have capacity, but you may not have so much patience, and things change. And there's, like throwing things at you, paperwork and stuff like that. It's a lot. And you need somebody to either sort through that. Keisha says definitely takes a village. Can't depend on rehabs to care for loved ones like you can. Yes, absolutely. But what did you write? But I get that it can be their only option. Yes, it can be their only option. I mean, there's definitely other options, but it can be their only option. There are some people that it's their only option. But That's a good point, Keisha. When they do go to a facility, you have to visit them. You have to go, you have to go, you have to ask questions. You have to make sure that everything is going right for your person. You know what I mean? Everybody is different. Everybody got different personality and different needs. So you have to make sure that your person is getting what they need and and what they should get. You know what I mean? Because every facility doesn't fit everybody. And that's another reason why you kind of look at these things ahead of time because it's part of your research. Every facility is different. So if this facility doesn't fit your loved one or doesn't offer what your loved one needs, then you know that they shouldn't go there. They can't go there. But if they do go, please don't just leave them there. Go visit them. I don't care how nice the facility is. I don't care how clean it is. I don't care how active they are because people, businesses change. And sometimes you don't even know that the facility has changed hands. And I know that happens here. The facility changed hands. People sell it. So when they turn over and they change hands, they're not run the same way. And you might have been used to them taking care of them, doing this and doing that. And if you notice certain things, then ask about that. Ask about the administration, different things like that. So it's very important that if they have to go into a facility, to make sure you keep up with it and you keep up with them, So again, this is my last show on Autumn is Here. It's called People Worth Caring About. So check it out if you haven't checked it out. This is my 2 cents, and I'm just giving my 2 cents. And I want to just bring up some points about it and just kind of emphasize the show that we saw. And in case you haven't seen it, maybe encourage you to see it, or also just to let you know about certain things that you haven't thought about. But really, the people who are caring for people is really tough. If you know people that are caring for people, you know try to help them out. Some days have good days and some days you have bad days. So try to help them out. But if you are going to look for a facility, please do some research on the facility. This film is this docu-series shows you different ones, so it's different things that you can even ask for. When you see one facility doing something, then ask. If you're looking for a facility for your loved one, you saw this on this documentary, they did this, they had this kind of thing, they had this kind of thing that helped them to be more mobile or whatever, or equipment or whatever, write it down. And then when you're looking for it, ask, do you have this? Do you have people that come in there for chair aerobics? Do you have people that come in there with music? Do you have people that come in there with dogs and pet therapy? How many people are assigned to somebody? Find out, do they have a memory care floor? There's just so many different things. So please make sure you do that. And please make sure you do that and you check that out and look at the series. Oh, Raven said, thanks for sharing this important information. You're very welcome. Oh, yes, it's good to know what to ask for. Yes, because you don't know. If you never was involved in it, you're not going to know what to ask for. You just going to be going blind. So that's why it's good to see what other people are doing and be like, oh yeah, wait a minute, that's a good idea. Because people have good ideas, like different ideas. And some people are more creative and more innovative, some places. So you might see something there that somebody else, another facility didn't think about. Bring it up to that facility. Say that, even if you have somebody in a facility and it's something, you might have a suggestion that you saw something on this documentary and you saw it and say, well, you can take it to the facility. Say, do you have that? Maybe you should have an art program. Maybe you should have a painting program. There are local people that do things. And remember this, there are retired people all around that are well and fun and had talents and stuff like that. They can volunteer. They may volunteer to do a class on painting, on hair salons and stuff like that, doing hair in the nursing home. And that's one of the things that he said. I thought he was just talking to the CNAs. He is not. He's talking to everybody who has some kind of interaction or responsibility for the seniors in the facility. So he's talking to the people who do come in and volunteer and do the salon thing. He's talking to the people who do chair aerobics. He's talking to the superintendents. He's talking to the cleaners, the people who clean, the dietitians. He's talking to everybody because it takes everybody. And you don't want something lagging. You don't want, okay, so, the CNA is great, but the food service is bad. You know what I'm saying? So he's talking to everybody and why they do this. He's asking them why they do this and what they get out of it. So it's really good. It's very positive. It's very positive. I know sometimes we look at these things and it's sad, and they look lonely, but this is pretty positive. So listen, Autumn is Here podcast. If you haven't seen it, go check it out, leave a comment, and go check out some of his episodes for his series on people worth caring about. The first season, I believe, is on YouTube, but you can also look at it on Hulu and Amazon and other streaming like Roku and Samsung TV and things like that. So please make sure you check it out. And if you check out one of his episodes, two of his episodes, please write a comment and let them know you heard about it from Autumn is Here. Okay, and write a comment and let them know what you think about it, or if you learned something or anything like that. That was one of the things that he asked for. So it would be nice to do that. Let people know that they're doing a good job, that you want to see things like this, that this is something worthwhile, looking at and giving you information and making you aware of something. So please, if you have time, please check it out and look at it, and please definitely leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe to Autumn is Here podcast. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being on tonight. I appreciate your time and I appreciate your support. And I appreciate you tuning in on my live, my 2 cents. And please continue to watch Autumn is Here podcast wherever you watch or listen. You can listen to it also wherever you watch or listen to podcasts. All right. Thank you. Good night, everyone.